So it's part of cinematic history, and I neither condone nor not condone any of the content in that classic 1939 film. I have, however, watched a bunch of parts of Peter Greenaway films, and The Cook, the Thief, His Wife and Her Lover. It's a movie. That's about all you can say about that one. Anyway, welcome to a brand new show, podcast type thing. If you can hear me, let's get back a little bit. There we go. My voice is going. But this is the Bong Kim Park MUKBANG movie show. And this idea started from a movie marathon I did last night. And then I'm like, I've got to talk about these movies. I've got to talk about them. It started out just going through a list of thrillers from top to bottom, quality-wise. And I started out with Brawl on Cell Block 99. Blew my mind. I'm not talking about that tonight. Probably next time. Then I kept on going, and then I saw a David Mamet film I've never seen before, but I've heard about a lot, called Homicide, which again I'll talk about a little bit in a couple of shows, but and like it's kind of prescient kind of about what's happening in the world today, a la Israel and whatnot. No Pally stuff, but more Nazi things, but just with the Mamet twist. The Mamet twist at the end, man. And if you know David Mamet movies, you know the Mamet twist, man. That just blew my freaking mind. Anyway, after that, I got on to the first film that I watched, and I'm not going to talk about them in the order I watched them, but it was a film from 2022, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk about films from the first half of this decade up until now. I think I've got two movies from 2023. One from 2020. Two from 2020, sorry. Oh goodness, it's all mixed up. So, two from 2023, one from 2022, and then maybe one from 2021. I'll get through it all. But basically, it's all the movies from this decade. Thrillers, dramatic thrillers, I'll call them. Which I thought would just got me, man. And the thing about these films is, whether I've been following film that much, I have not heard a single person talk about them, yeah? Like, not once, I don't think. And interesting, there's a HBO film on there. There's a Netflix show on there. There's an A24 on there. And Roadside Attractions, which is pretty big indie type of film. And then I found out for my black comedy that, I don't know if people remember Chicken Soup for the Soul from the 90s. It was like a self-help type of book series that came through, and they make movies now. Maybe this is the only one they've made, but um, is a great film. They're all great films. All over. Well, I don't think the comedy got over 7 stars, but every other one has got over 7 stars in my streaming service, and you can watch all of them on this streaming service. I better turn this down. Snap. Bit of Stravinsky. Don't want to yell and get even more hoarse before I have to. Oh, smiggity snams. It was gonna happen. And then, before I started watching those movies, I was kind of on a comedy kick. I was on a comedy kick, and I started watching a great comedy from 2022 from a legendary showrunner that, again, I'd not heard an absolute thing from. And tonight's monster drink is peach flavored. And then I'm like, okay, I'll talk about a couple of TV shows from this decade, which again, nobody really has spoken about. No, they've got no buzz, kind of just ushered through, and I love all of them. One of which Red Letter Media briefly spoke about, like briefly, but nothing else. Another one with a big star, which again I hadn't heard a thing from Apple. And then again, this last show, legendary actors, legendary comedy actors, but nothing. So there you go. Anyway, that's the content of the first Bong Kim Park mukbang movie show. And yes, there's mukbang. And no, my name is not Bong Kim Park. For those who know, for those who are into their Korean cinema, y'all know what I'm talking about, hopefully. Talking about that, Squid Games, man, came out a belter. Season 2, that double punch, season 2 and 3. Damn, homie. And look, I'm not going to get very political. I try not to on this stuff. I try to keep it sort of RLM adjacent, but as a progressive conservative, not a conservative progressive, a progressive conservative, I'd say, I was kind of disappointed by people having a hissy fit about having a TS character. I'll call them TS, you know. I think that's a respectful way to say not transgender, but the actual what it's meant to be. And I was really disappointed that there was backlash about Squid Game because it wasn't pushing it down their faces. It was describing a current phenomena within society. So to all those based, lefties losing it, fuck nipples. Yeah. But onto the mukbang portion. So here we go. Not really the main of this is getting onto it, but this is my ramen cup. Ichiban delicious. It's got a sachet with real meat in it. Instant noodles with real Australian roast beef. And I've had this one before. I don't put the chili in because I've got a bit of a dicky tummy at the moment. But it is rather delightful. And I'll let that cool down a little bit. But to go with that, I have a plate of soy boiled pork belly. Now that is a big serve for me. That's big food, but I'm not gonna eat. You know, it's not like like with pork belly and I don't know, fucking all the stuff. Belly filled donuts or whatever, or you know, pork belly filled fried pork belly fried chicken, or I don't know, you know, 10 kilos of it. Not like that. We try to keep it classy, guys. And I'll just have a quick break and come back right back at ya. Just a second. Okay. You know, who knows? You know, who knows what's meant to be. Oh, fuck. Oh, man. I don't know what. It should be. We'll see what we see. If it f's up, that is what it is. It looks like it's. I put it as rotated, but if it f's up, it f's up. But it'll just be artistic license, right? I should do it like this, so it's so it almost works either way. But so basically, you know, people go, "Wow, that's so amazing," and it's like, you know, let's be topical. Jordan Peterson playing piano with Cat or whatever, you know. But for me, I try to like amazing is first standout acting performances. A film that makes me feel things without music blaring the whole time. Dialogue that feels real and emotional and makes me feel something. Interesting editing and photography. And then finally, obviously, direction, you know. And, you know, which is everything, like a vision. An amazing film has a full sec. There we go. An amazing vision, you know, that makes you go, this is a director that I want to see more of. This is a film that I want to watch again, you know. That's what an amazing film is to me, you know. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the first part, which will be 5 amazing dramatic thrillers. And the music stopped, which is perfect. We don't need music for this. Yeah, we do. Dead air. So, yeah. Let's get amongst it. Okay, let's get into it. My 5 amazing dramatic thrillers from the 2020s, which nobody talks about. Starting off with a HBO movie from 2023 called Reality. Directed by Tina Satter, I believe her first film, 1 hour and 23 minutes. Written by the director and James Paul Dallas. DOP cinematography by Paul Yee. And edited by Ron Doolin and Jennifer Vecchiarello. Starring one of the girls of the moment, Sydney Sweeney. And I would call him a legendary character actor, Josh Hamilton. I was thinking, he's been in stuff recently. But I was on all of these films, pretty much all of them, it was like, where have I seen that actor before? And after Sydney Sweeney is the amazing actor Josh Hamilton, who he's been in television, been in all sorts of things. But what I remember him from is from the Joe Pesci and Brendan Fraser early 90s college film With Honors. Great film. It's so good. I really reckon that one was probably Brendan Fraser's first big acting chops. Oh, I forgot to say, for dessert, I've got half a almond croissants. Yee! Okay, I was going to say, let's see how this pork is. Oh. It's like I don't have an oven at the moment, or I don't have an oven. I don't have a microwave. I don't have a air fryer, so I can't roast up pork. But I reckon almost just as tasty and good is boiling belly pork in soy sauce. I better stop or I'm going to catch my tracks. Wow. So I haven't gone through everything. So Sydney Sweeney, Josh Hamilton from With Honors, and an amazing African American black actor, whatever. I'll just say black. In this, I think it's easiest. Marchant Davis. Haven't seen him in anything else, but just all in all, great performances. So basically, Reality is about this whistleblower from the 2010s called Reality Lee Winner. And interestingly enough, there's been another film made about her, which I probably watched the first third, which goes all into her life and her story and stuff. I didn't get to the end, but I'd be interested to watch that one now. But this is basically Reality Winner whistle blew on the Russia hoax. Let's just call it a hoax because that's the official title for it, is it? Or the Russia scandal, election scandal. And she whistle blew on, because she was, she'd learnt Farsi, which is Iranian, and Farsi, the other one, which is Afghan, maybe not Urdu, maybe Urdu. So she could work in Iran and Afghanistan as a translator, but she never got there. So she moved into how you say what's not confidential, you know, classified analytics. And while she was there, um, it was during the first Trump era. So they were in their cubicles, and all around them, they had Fox News blaring the whole time, or maybe not blaring, but showing them all the stuff that was happening. Um, you know, and as someone who had joined the military with good intentions and, idealistically, um, it really started to wiggle at her. And she ended up going F this, whistle blew, got caught, and went to jail for 4 years. Um, and then didn't become a household name, basically. But amazing story, and if you can hunt down the other film about her, I definitely highly recommend that one as well. But this film specifically, knocking on her door, and it uses the direct transcripts from that meeting, and really interesting ways to sort of show that it was following that script. The redacted bits were really well done, I thought. A little bit overdone, but it was almost the first time I actually got a jump shock in a long time. I won't spoil it, but it's really, HBO really are at the cutting edge of cinema storytelling. I've always believed that. I don't care that the tides change. They've had some duds, etc., etc. They follow the zeitgeist, and I'll always be in. You'll never get me not watching HBO. All the way back to Oz, all the way back to that Dennis Hopper film about witchcraft in the 50s. Even that amazing Alan Ball series from a couple of years ago was so woke, but I effing loved it. It was really fun. It was good fun. But yeah, look, it tells the story over about 2 hours. It comes in at just under an hour and a half, but basically her story unraveling under the I wouldn't even call it interrogation. I'd almost call it handling or something. The way the FBI handled her, and basically, like, in a way, it was nice, I guess, because they basically they gave her enough rope, in a way, and kind of, like, it was like they could tell that she was a volatile character. They could tell that, like, if they handled her wrong, it could go wrong, you know. Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, it's like, the way they did it, it's like, even now, and just had this bit where, like, she's got a cat inside, and as things start getting harder and harder for her, she sees a cat across the road, and now I'm thinking, it's like she could have been like, "There's my cat," and tried to run away or whatever. But that shows, like, it's very, very subtle, but also really, like, hits you like a hammer, the way it's done. And as I say, these films are what you could watch again just to see different bits you didn't catch first time, you know. But it was interesting. It was really, like, it was auteur cinema, as far as I can tell. Like, this is director from television, I think screenwriting maybe, her first foray into movies, sadly her last at this point as well, I think. But just Okay, let's get into it. Sydney Sweeney, right? Um, as a as a cinema person, as a person who has studied acting and respects it, um, it kind of grinds my gears. All this shit about Sydney Sweeney. Is she a sex symbol? Is she mid? Etc. 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 Where is the question? Is she a effing amazing actress? Because she is. She is effing top class. This film shows it, and she is mid in this film because reality was mid. You know, um, and the fact that people don't talk about what's mid is no makeup and what's sex symbol is makeup. And she definitely kicks both ways. And I'm going to go into another actress who gets maligned, and she fucking smashed it and just showed that she is not a one-trick pony. These actresses are not one-trick ponies. They are fully fledged actors. They are serious professionals. They've earned their place in Hollywood, like Chalamet, and I'll say it, Pascal. He's earned his place, and all the rest. Um, but her performance, it's transcendent. It's so psychological. It's so endearing and heartbreaking. Just like all the female actor performances in the films I watched, I must say. But she absolutely smashes it out of the park. Her character arc is just in 83 minutes to go from here all the way. It's just mind-blowing. And the supports, which are basically not even supports, are, Josh Hamilton's the co-star, and Marshawn Davis is supporting. But look, their performances are faultless. And I barely need to say it because pretty much all of these performances, apart from maybe one, but not really, no, I can't say that. They're all perfect performances from the female actors, the actresses in these films. Just astonishing. And those two male counterpoints and the supporting roles in the background and things and the animal actors, it's just really, really great. Really great. And the simple fact is, all the dialogue in the film came from recorded documents. So whether you agree with the politics or disagree or whatever, you can't doubt that this is 100% based on facts. Facebook posts, audio documents. Yes. It's all there. It all happened. It is what it is. She got what she got. And it also is a really interesting glimpse into the way the FBI works. It's like with Richard Jewell and Paul Walter Hauser, who played Richard Jewell, will be coming up in the black comedy I'm talking about. But it always fascinates me the way the FBI works in these situations, because they don't interview, they handle. And if you've ever been in a situation where you're being handled, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I think, is there anything else? Oh yes, the the set design, the cinematography is amazing. The not really like it's not it's the digital effects or enhancement is astonishing. The choices of shots, amazing. An amazing shot of a snail, which reminds me, if you're into Lego, there's a snail set coming through. Booyah! But that snail shot, and as I say, those redacted parts, amazing. Can't say any more. I'll just change the music quickly. Take a bit of roast pork in my mouth so you can hear me salivating. My noodles should be good to go in a sec. But yeah, reality, HBO films, 2023. Tina Satter directed, Sydney Sweeney, Josh Hamilton, and Marshawn Davis. Paul Yee on the cameras. Really, really check it out, if you get a chance. And at the end of the video, I will be giving you the name of a site, whether it's legal or illegal. It's really weird. I don't know how it works, but I will tell you where you can find all of these shows and movies. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for saying that, but maybe I'll just put it up on screen or something, but you know what I mean. I don't want to get in trouble or anything, because I'm going to go see the new Superman film on Friday. Thanks to the Red Letter Media boys for putting me on and telling me that it's worth going to see. And then today my friend came around and said he hasn't seen it yet, but his kids friggin' loved it. So I'm into it. Like, I've never been one, it's almost made me want to go watch Snow White and see what the fuss is about, just because, I've kind of been a hibernating bear, just believing what I hear and not seeing with my own earballs and stuff. But all this baloney online, confected outrage, lefties losing it logic, all that nonsense. I don't care. I'm going to go see it. Anyway, what I mean to say is reality, HBO. Sydney Sweeney puts in an academy performance, I would say. As does Josh Hamilton. So, oh yeah. Fuck it. Don't want to risk it. Okay, some Chopin, the Polish master himself. And what film have I got playing next? Okay. I'm trying to think. But yeah, I think things get a bit heavier from here, I would say. But here we go. And at the end of the video, I will be sharing $1 million life hack that will make your $60 record player, rinky-dink record player, sound like sound like a fucking Sanyo hi-fi console, maybe. Anyway, okay, yeah. Okay, this is gonna be a bit hard to talk about, and if you've had trauma and stuff, I have a warning on this one, because it gets heavy into sexual violence, trauma, codependence, all these things that I had no idea going into, which just, as a person who has those experiences, it kind of shattered me. It really did, and sort of, yeah, I won't say anymore. So, can I just say, this pork is just the best I've had in a long, long time. Okay, let's get into some of the ichiban. And I got these ones half price. As was the pork belly. I almost got rashes of pork belly, but then I found this at almost half price. And I'm like, damn. No, I can't eat anymore because I'll just salivate and won't be able to talk. But basically, Luckiest Girl Alive is a Netflix film from 2022, directed by Mike Barker, who comes from television, I believe. I've forgotten all. I didn't write these things down, but 1 hour 53 minutes, which is the classic film length. Written by Jessica Knoll, who wrote the book. Directed by Colin Watkinson. I didn't check that out. Edited by Nancy Richardson. Another thing I've got to say about all these films is amazing ensemble casts. Always amazing ensemble cast. This has an absolutely shattering performance from the GOAT, one of the GOATs, Mila Kunis. Love you always, Mila. Just mind-blowing. And a just as amazing performance from a young actress, Chiara Aurelia, who plays Mila's younger self. Her character's name is Tiffany, and she changes it as an adult, which I've been there. And as I said, that's why it kind of struck. So many of these things kind of struck me in the heart really hard, But basically, Chiara Aurelia, Finn Whitrock, who's an up-and-coming actor, been in television, can't think of things. Connie Britton, the legend Connie Britton from White Lotus most recently. Scoot McNairy, always love a bit of Scoot McNairy from, he was in, I think, season 3 of True Detective. That Brad Pitt film, Killing Them Softly. I think that was Gregor Jordan or Andrew Dominic, maybe, Australian director. Scoot McNairy, if you saw him, you'd recognize him. Just phenomenal. He's kind of like that dude from Tangerine. Oh God, I can't think of his name. It's like you don't know his name, but you recognize him. But they kind of remind me of each other. And then this is the actor that was like, where have I seen this guy from? Thomas Barbuska, redhead, representing the Ranger Force. I'm like, where have I seen this guy from? He was in the Caitlin Olsen from It's Always Sunny, her show The Mick when he was a kid, and that was a great show. If you love It's Always, if you're one of those people who's kind of a It's Always Sunny ensemble completist, The Mick, it's up there with Mythic Quest and AP Bio. I don't know about a new season. Her new show. I watched a few episodes, but didn't get fully into it. And finally, talking about goats, going all the way back, the original Flashdance, Jennifer Beals, Quentin Tarantino's best girlfriend back in the day. She puts in a stunning performance because, I said that. These films, the performances are perfect. Everything about this film is just shattering and just blah. It hit me. It struck me hard. The narration was vaguely jarring to begin with, just because we're not used to that anymore. But the way they used it, it worked. The flashbacks worked. The multiple storylines worked. The non-linear storytelling worked, you know. And just these two actresses don't look alike, but you know, it's like almost like a tale of two cities or something, because it just shows how these things change people's lives, you know. Anyway, let's get into a quick idea of the story. I try not to get too far into it, but basically, it's about this character, Tiffany. She calls herself Annie. She's getting ready to marry a wealthy, billionaire son who she met at university. But from the very beginning, there's something wrong. She's traumatized. She's behaving. She's acting out. There's stuff going on, and I can attest to this, you know. Because when you're traumatized, you try to be the best person you can be, like almost like an autism, because you've got to mask what's actually going on, you know. And that's where the narration works, and the fantasy elements and things, because it really does go into that, you know. But then it's sort of, as the story goes on, it turns out she was actually in this world the biggest private school massacre in America in the late 90s. And there's a whole controversy because a person who was made a paraplegic in the attack has become a gun advocate and this moral dude and all this stuff. But she was maligned, and then you find out that at the time he actually said that she was part of the attack, and she became a pariah. You know, and then as the story progresses, look, trigger warning. I'll just say fucking trigger warning. Who cares? She gets gang raped when she's at this private college where she's a scholarship student. I was a scholarship student at a similar type of school, and basically treated like a rag doll by these entitled white people. And then her boyfriend basically raped her and let his best two mates rape her as well. Scoot McNairy is an amazing performance as the teacher who tries to help and then gets fired for doing so. She doesn't want her mother to know, so she doesn't file a police report. Her outcast friends get really angry about it, and they're the ones who, you know, do what they did. And basically, Um, there's been violence. Yes, I would say sexual violence, or how you say. Well, yeah, well, it's a Cleveland steamer, so that's sexual violence. But on one of the attackers, and they lose it, and basically, um, later on you find out everything that happens in the school shooting, and it's an amazing, like, obviously up there with Elephant, up there with that actually not too bad Daily Wire school shooting film, but shattering. But basically after this guy gets, her ex-boyfriend gets made paraplegic, he says that he dumped her because she was dating his best mates. She was jilted. She went in with her two outcast stoner friends and plotted the whole thing, and they were going to neck themselves at the end, harakiri themselves. Thus, he becomes a hero, creates this narrative of stop gun violence and blah, blah, blah. When he was in fact part of the perpetrators of it, because he created the trauma which started the whole thing, But basically, this is the background to Mila Kunis in, present day, and basically, she's never told her side of the story, and finally a documentary crew get her to talk, and it's all the way through her planning, all these things, all the stuff that's happening, all the flashbacks coming together and building, until the confrontation between her and her rapist. This video is not monetized, so I'll say it, I don't give a fuck. Rape is rape is rape, and you can gag people who need the money, and that's not my balls either. That's not titillating content to fucking shut down my channel or whatever. Maybe this is titillating content, but again, I'll keep on saying Academy performances. And you know what that means, yeah? It is an Academy performance from Mila Kunis, from Connie Britton, from all of them, And just as I said, like, this will get you, and for people who understand, however it might be, what sexual violence is and how it affects people, be very, very careful, and go slowly if you have to, however it is, but the way it's done is so masterfully handled by Mike Barker. And yeah, 2022, people still talk about Extraction, people still talk about other things, but has anyone heard of Luckiest Girl Alive? Has anyone heard of this Mila Kunis film? What can I surmise from that? I won't even go into it, but as I say, just an absolutely shattering film. A really great auteur vision from this one. Just, yeah. Amazing. As I said, it's an amazing... They're all amazing films. Let's have a bit of this. Get over it. I'm so glad I didn't get too emotional talking about it, because I was like, when I was thinking about it this afternoon, it's like, if I talk about this on camera, I'm definitely going to cry. But I did not, and I'll try not to in the last film that I watched, that I'll talk about, which is the last film that I watched which, and this is going from kind of not really worst to best, but kind of the way I feel like talking about it. But the last film is an absolute thumper. But let's get on. And the other thing I wanted to say was I really wanted to sort of talk about different styles of a thriller film. You know, like you can have a film set in basically one house that's just as edge of your seat as something as sprawling as Luckiest Girl Alive, you know. Ooh. That is a really good ramen bowl. Okay. On to the Roadside Attractions 2022 film, Emily the Criminal. Oh, sweet, sweet Emily. To all the Emilys out there. Directed by John Patton Ford. I believe he was I don't know, maybe television, I can't remember off the top of my head. 1 hour and 37 minutes. Cinematography by Jeff Bierman. Edited by Harris Atkins. Starring Aubrey Plaza. I love her. I love her as an actress. I think she's an amazing person. She's so funny when she needs to be funny, but she absolutely smashes it when she has to as a dramatic actress, you know. And anyone who saw the very underrated Ingrid Goes West has to attest to that, you know. She has range. And, yeah, she's just amazing in this. The male co-star, Theo Rossi, who was in Sons of Anarchy back in the day. Again, that is shorts under there, so don't worry. Amazing performance as a Lebanese criminal, fraudster. Megalyn Echikanwoke, I believe a Nigerian actress. I didn't look that up. Maybe British Nigerian, I'm not sure. But to all my Nigerian queens. And finally, the always transcendent Gina Gershon, Gina Showgirls Gershon. Just great performances. And now this was almost like this is a lot less stylized this is almost like a Dogma, almost like an early Nicholas Winding Refn Dogma style film. Very naturalistic, natural audio, music. I can't think of that term from the way Tarantino uses music, but a lot of that. And yeah, just very natural, and also like a kind of like a Asghar Farhadi story in the way Asghar Farhadi always creates this world, kind of simmers and puts in all the ingredients of this cinematic world, and then just ups the ante, up until it just explodes, you know. Just a really just amazing film. I keep on saying that, an amazing film. What else can I say about the direction? The way it does like callbacks, like a classic trope from like stand up comedy is the throwback, and it does that really really well in the end. It's great. But basically, Emily is a college dropout, got in trouble with the law through college, can't get a professional job as any sort of professional because of that. And it starts out with a shattering scene, and it just shows that Emily is not one of the Emilys that you can fuck with. You know what I mean? Like, this girl has chops. She's a fighter, straight out of Jersey. You know, Jersey Puerto Rican. And like, it's such a controlled performance. But when she loses it, when she goes full tilt 11, she just goes for it, like in Ingrid Goes West, you know. Although, again, the range from Ingrid Goes West, Knocked Up, and this, the To-Do List, obviously P&R, but she is an actress that we will keep on seeing, I would suggest. And obviously, I want to send my condolences to everything that she's been through in the last year. That absolute abhorrent joke or non-joke slash degrading comment about Puerto Rico by that fucking evil little turd goblin. Won't even bother saying his name at that Madison Square, whatever you want to call it. Madison Square Gardens, and then losing her partner after just divorcing, I think, separating her creative partner. I'm sending my love out there to Miss Aubrey Plaza. May she keep on drinking her wood milk and keep on going, you know, because that's life. You got to keep on going. But basically, she's a battler. She's working a catering job, a rubbish catering job. She's a people pleaser. So she basically does a favor to a co-worker who, for a favor, gives her the name of a dodgy lead to get money, easy money, criminal money. It turns out it's a thing called, what is it? Not goofy. Oh God, I can't think. Not dodgy shopping, something like that. And it's interesting because I had a similar job back in the day called mystery shopping. I can't think of the word for it now. But basically, they go in with fake credit cards and buy a product, give it to the suppliers of the cards, and make a cut. And she doesn't go for it straight away, but things get worse. She's got $70,000 in college debt. And she ends up doing it. She gets the money and the rush, because anyone who's done crime knows that the rush is just as much a part of why people do the crime. People don't talk about that, but as a kleptomaniac, a reformed kleptomaniac, I can definitely attest to that. But she gets a taste for it, and when she gets given the second job, which is 10 times more, it almost ends in her dying, basically. But she gets away with it, and that's hook, line, and sinker, you know, and she's all in. Doesn't hurt you know, her Lebanese boss, played by Theo Rossi, is a total smoke show. But she's in, and soon enough, she's doing the credit cards, doing all of that, doing the selling, um, making money, making bank, almost dying, but showing that she's a ruthless. And I was gonna say, it's almost like a Breaking Bad story. It is a Breaking Bad story, kind of, but she's always had that criminal past, so not quite, but you know what I mean. Like, she's played the game, she's realized that it's rigged, and she realizes there's another way to live. And she's all in. Then the romance starts, and his partner is always iffy about her. She breaks the rules, and puts everybody in jeopardy. His partner shits the bed and takes everything. Um, and then um, after she's met this guy's mom, um, basically has to leave him for dead and moves to Costa Rica, and that's where the legendary callback scene happens. And in perfect Breaking Bad form, it's just the beginning, in a way, because it's almost like a coming of age. It's that coming out of age from a civilian to a fully fledged bandito kind of vibe. In the end, that's about it, I think. But and yeah, her best friend, played by Megalyn Echikunwoke, is great as her friend who works in a advertising firm, and basically screws her over in a way. And then Gina Gershon for the interview as the boss, who just, that performance by Aubrey in that scene is just, yeah, fuck yeah. It's like, to all those people in power who you've wanted to say, absolutely lose your bottle at. It's very cathartic, and she didn't have to fucking stab her to death to get the message across. Again, we're not getting political, but yeah, bad bosses, man. But yeah, look, it's as I say, it's a great film. If you like your films kind of naturalistic and sort of Scandinavian, I'd almost say, or that kind of Dogma vibe, the Anniversary Party, what is it, Constant Gardener, that kind of Paul Greengrass kind of vibe almost, Captain Phillips kind of thing in a way. Definitely Emily the Criminal. Yes. It gets my seal of pork approval. And we're going to go big. Time to change the record. Oh. Damn, homie. Talking about damn, homie. Finally got a chance to watch the Tom Segura Netflix show. I think I stalled out after episode 3 or 2, but I'll get back to it. Oh man, that's so good. So that's 3 films. Now getting into the real, the last 2 are absolute bangers that I cannot recommend highly enough to people who film heads, film buffs, maybe not, how you say, yeah, film buffs, movie heads, what do they call them? Cinephiles, definitely cinephile films, these two ones. And this one from A24, a non-horror film, 2023, directed by Benjamin Caron, who's a TV mate. I can't think of any of the stuff I got on the director, but I think it is definitely his first film. Sharper. 1 hour and 56 minutes. Written by Brian Gatewood and Alessandro Tanaka. The only film on this list that was written not by the actual director or partly. Directed by, and I looked this up because she's a Danish cinematographer, Charlotte Bruce Christensen. English Charlotte Bruce Christensen. And I looked it up. She worked on a lot of Thomas. She worked on Last Drinks by, or was it Last Drinks? The Thomas Vinterberg. Maybe not Last Drinks. That was a Michael Caine one, wasn't it? But the Mads Mikkelsen Thomas Vinterberg film that won Best Foreign Film in 2019, something like that. Last year. Amazing film, but she's worked on a lot of stuff. What was the other thing? Oh, she worked on that Oprah Denzel film Fences, which I haven't seen. A lot of stuff. Definitely a cinematographer worth keeping an eye out for. And in classic cinematography lore, she has the perfect cinematographer name. And to think of it, I can't actually think of any other, apart from that DOP from the Alec Baldwin film, I can't think of many other female cinematographers. But Charlotte... Where is it? Charlotte Bruce Christensen. Charlotte Bruce Christensen. Edited by Jan Miles. Starring Julianne Moore, Sebastian Stan, Justice Smith, another, if you see him, you probably don't know his name, but you've seen him. Amazing Afro-American actress, Brianna Middleton. And the GOAT, one of the legends, one of the greatest of the Mid-Atlantics, John Lithgow. Now, I've got to say, this hits as hard as any of Mamet's con man films. Maybe... I'd even go to say it's as good as House of Games in the twists and turns. There was a few things where you kind of knew it was coming and stuff, but up there with The Grifters, up there with Midnight Run, and all the other great grifter films from Hollywood. And again, The Grifters, great film. Back when John Cusack was starring John Cusack, Angelica Houston, the GOAT! Thank you to my fan, Miss Angelica Houston, and to all the Houston family. Thank you, and thank you for supporting my internet content over the last year or so. What are other good... can't even think. Like, I love a great con man film. Um, just there's been, I can't even think of any apart from all the Mammoths. Spanish, the Spanish Prisoner. I've kind like the Spanish Prisoner is one of those films that I've always wanted to rewatch, but I kind of want to like. It's kind of one of those. When I find out I've got 6 weeks to live, I'll watch The Spanish Prisoner again, kind of thing, because it just absolutely slaps. Um, Give me one. I can think of hustler, like pool hustling films. Um, nah. If anyone can think of, if anybody watches this, if anybody can think of another great grifter film, another great con man film, you could almost say, I've never seen it, but like the notorious blackface, those whiteface films are almost con man films in a way, like White Chicks and what's his name? Thomas. Oh God, that's I hate it. There was a best of the worst video that featured that actress from Soul Man. You'll know who I'm talking about. To all my film heads, you know who I'm talking about. Um, has Kevin Smith ever done a? Anyway, well, yeah. In a way, you could almost say that Dogma, Kevin Smith's legendary film, fourth film, Dogma, is kind of about con men, and his characters are sort of like con men in a way. Um, but yeah, look, let's get into it. Sharper. Uh, from the get-go, it is relentless. It's an episodic film. Each character has, almost each character has their own chapter, and the way it goes from chapter to chapter is so seamless. And the way it's like each chapter builds and builds and builds and then drops the bomb, and then boom, it comes up into the next chapter. It's just so well done. Um, the way the way the characters turn out to be part of each story is just awesome, you know. Um, and again, perfect performances. Um, Sebastian Stan. I gotta say it, man. I'm a total stan for Sebastian Stan. Even his Marvel stuff, as Bucky. I love Bucky. What a great character. And one of the longest running characters, and probably most. He's one of the hardest working Marvel actors because he is a legitimate working actor. Fresh was amazing from a couple of years ago. Haunting, disturbing, horrible, but amazing. And a film that personally I think should have gotten more Oscar nods than just prosthetics. Another Man, A Different Man. If you haven't seen it, A Different Man. It's just I won't even go into it. It's just a mind blowing film. I thought. I could talk about that in this list, you know, but I just wanted to do these. But basically, um, he is the most horrendous, reprehensible con man grifter since Joe Montana in House of Games, you know. Just And if you haven't seen House of Games and you love con man grifter films, you've got to see it. I don't know where you can see it my on my streaming service that I'll say at the end. House of Games, 1987. Joe Montana, a very early William H. Macy, Ricky Jay, rest in peace. I can't think of the actress's name. And JT Walsh, rest in peace. Rest in power, my cinematic brother, my acting brother. May we never forget you. JT Walsh, one of the best who ever did it. But getting back to it, basically, I'll get into the. I'll go into the story. So basically, the first chapter is about Tom, who runs a bookstore. He's glum. He's the classic stereotype. He's almost like the bookshop guy at the beginning of Happy Go Lucky, kind of vibes. But it's like the classic meet cute, like way too perfect, but so natural that he doesn't even know, sort of thing. She comes in. She's done. I won't go. Basically, he gets grifted. He gets catfished. Basically, IRL catfished by this beautiful Afro queen. Vasta educated, literature, doing her PhD on black feminism in American literature. Just his dream girl. Too good to be true, and it is. Along comes the twist at the end that's been building. He takes the bait, loses 350k, gets his heart completely shattered, and, does what destroyed people do. And boom, into the second chapter about, oh God, I can't even think of her name now. Sandra. And her story is, she starts out, she meets her dodgy parole officer. She's on the junk or crack and all that. She's a traumatized what do they call them? Foster care kid who fell into the only world she knew. She tries to. She knows that she's got brains. She knows that her parole officer is dodgy and tries to entrap her. Gets caught. And for whatever reason, maybe, I don't know why Sebastian stands out. Can't think of it. But in the end, he grifts this evil parole officer with a classic. I think it was probably in one of the Midnight Express films. But basically the bait and switch. But hooks her in and takes her on as his protege. Teaches her everything. Teaches her everything to do the grift on this hapless romantic boob. And how does that end? Oh God, yeah. I can't think, but that's that story there. And then it goes into, I think he's Nathan, maybe? And I'll probably get the names wrong, but Sebastian Stan's character, it goes back in time to his relationship with his fake mother, Julianne Moore, who's another grifter, and sort of tells the backstory of how that whole thing comes full circle, and John Lithgow's the mark in that part of the film, and it really it's almost like the folklore, the mythology of these characters, and then the way that falls apart, and then finally it goes into the retribution, which is, I believe, the character's name is Olivia. Julianne Moore's character, and it comes full circle how John Lithgow turns out to be Tom's father. We knew that, but then everybody finds out, and then Sandra reappears because Tom wants her to come, and then basically it's the ultimate wish fulfillment story where the bad guys, the evil guys, get what they want, and the victims come out on top. I won't spoil it because you don't spoil. You know, it's like when when Spenny from Kenny versus Spenny, his humiliation was to tell people what the Shyamalan twist. Like, telling people what the twist in a con man film is like, spoiling the Shyamalan twist is basically a spin on the con twist, the grifter twist, you know. So I won't spoil it, but the final chapter comes back to Sandra, who's back to her original name, Sandy. It all comes together, and it's happy endings all around. The whole grift from the previous chapter is made understood. I would say, yeah, it's a feel. You know, grifter films are by their nature pretty feel-good films in a way, because the bad guys always get their comeuppance. I think I'll have to watch The Grifters again after I finish. So yeah, look, I cannot recommend this film highly enough. A24 not only does perfect indie horror films, they do really, really great American indie stuff as well. Indie dramas, thrillers, comedies, all of it. You know, A24 are they're the Miramax of this generation, the Dimension, you know, hopefully without the shitty fuck stain that was up the top of that. And, you know, in hindsight, he probably was as much to blame for Kevin Smith's downfall as any of the women that he destroyed. But I won't go into that again. Oh, hello. You're not Harvey Epstein. You said Harvey Epstein was going to be on, but it's just Clarence. It's just Squeaky Cat. Arrgh. But yeah, A24, man, and let's hope they ain't going nowhere. Like, you know, it feels like in the noughties it was like Focus, Annapurna, Fox Searchlight still a little bit. But yeah, Sharper. And I found out that Sharper is actually a noun for a person who lives on their wits, which is basically the con man, isn't it? Perfect direction, beautifully shot by, as I said, Charlotte Bruce Christensen. standout performances from everybody. I can especially Brianna Middleton. I've got to say, if there was any justice in the world, which, you know, if there was any justice in the world, let's say, she's should be on the up and up. But you know, the sad thing about this list is it's like, who knows? Who damn well knows whether these directors are going to do more films, whether the breakthrough performances in these films will ever get noticed, you know, because it's that whole thing. It's like, great, amazing films haven't disappeared. It's just harder to find them, you know. But yeah, I can't recommend Sharper highly enough. On caliber with any David Mamet grifter film. And of course, God. Come on. Come on. The director of Steven. The director of, oh God. The director of, again with the John Cusack, director of, High Fidelity Records, that one. Is it High Fidelity Records? I don't know. And again, great remake with Zoe Kravitz. Really enjoyed that one. Hi-Fi Records. But Steven. Oh. Great. I'm thinking of Jonathan Lynn, but it definitely was. Might have been, no. Definitely not a Jonathan Lynn. Another great British director. But yeah, The Grifters. Oh, bless you. Bless you, sweetheart. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. But Sharper. Great film, A24. 2023, 1 hour and 56 minutes. It'll go like you wouldn't believe. Directed by the brilliantly talented Benjamin Caron. And standout performances from everybody. Julianne Moore, Sebastian Stan, Justice Smith, Brianna Middleton, and John Lithgow. All the supporting cast. A+. And just final, Charlotte Bruce Christensen, a protege of Thomas Vinterberg, beautiful cinematographer. Definitely try and check out more of her films. That's all I can say about that. And on to number 5, and definitely just as far as thrillers are concerned, I reckon, well, yeah, they're all great, but this was the peak of the end of my viewing. I ended it on a high. As I said, I kind of wanted to cover different genres within that genre of thriller, and this is a science fiction film. I believe the director, Gavin Rothery, worked on Moon. It's a British film. It's a British throwback sci-fi film set in 2038. Archive, man. Why is this not spoken about in the same breath as that boring Alex Garland film, Deus Ex Machina? Not a bad film, but boring, but slow-paced, but not like this. Not an absolute belter like this. Archive, man. Released in 2020 on Vertical Entertainment. As I say, directed by Gavin Rothery, wrote it as well. 1 hour and 49 minutes. Cinematography by Laurie Rose. edited by Adam Biskupski, and starring one of my very favorite British actors, and just probably the bit like he was Theo James, the second Theo I've spoken about, Theo James from the Insurgent Allegiant films, and interestingly enough, this is about how you say about androids and artificial intelligence. In this one, he's like the scientist. He was actually in a 2016 film called Zoe, where he was a cyborg, an android, called Zoe, with Leia Seydoux and Ewan McGregor, and that film broke me at the time. It absolutely shattered me. So definitely, if you like films about androids and Philip K. Dick, science fiction, Zoe is another great film from the 2010s, and I'll probably talk about, because I want to make this a series going back over the decades. But yeah. Oh, I didn't have my mukbang. Fucking hell. Perfect timing. Oh. Okay. Oh. Oh. God. And as a bit of, how you say, reference to a big influence on this film, not Symphony Number 9, Symphony Number 4 by the old Ludwig van. To those who know. But yeah, look. I didn't even get into it. So Theo James and an actress I don't think I've ever seen before, a French actress, British actress, Stacey Martin. I would say again, I think she's coming through. If this performance is to go by, she'll be up there with Rebecca Ferguson, and I don't know. She deserves it. The next Keira Knightley, whatever. You could almost imagine Keira Knightley playing this character 15 years ago. But yes, Stacey Martin is amazing. A name that I've seen. This is different. It's like if you're a cinephile, and have watched a lot of British stuff, a lot of British television. Almost no doubt you will have heard of the name Rona Mitra, but I couldn't place her. And she's an amazing bad guy, or whatever it is. I'm just This film is so fresh in my mind still. But I want Rona Mitra, Toby Jones, and a brilliant performance by actually a teacher of acting, I think, and like a accent coach. This brilliant actor called Hans Peterson, and he almost steals the show, I have to say. But of course, Toby Jones from the Disaster of Destiny, Indiana Jones and the Disaster of Destiny, and many other great films. But for me, I was like, yeah. Oh, what's his name again? I can't think of these. He did an amazing indie horror film when they were a big thing. Did Berberian Soundstage from 2012. I can't think of his name, but kind of the same alma mater as Ben Wheatley, maybe Len Wiseman, but that kind of era of directors. But it feels like Toby Jones has been, can't even think. It's just like he's so ubiquitous with British and he played Truman Capote. Never saw that one, but just one of the greatest character actors, following the beautiful tradition of British character actors, and that's about it. So let's get into it. Let's go from it. This is a throwback sci-fi, miniatures, throwback to Aliens. No, throwback to Alien, throwback to Blade Runner, throwback to 2001, and of course Moon. Some themes similar from Moon, but just awe-inspiring, the filmmaking of this one. And people, I don't know if people know, like, Britain has a very specific history of using miniatures in science fiction, and this is definitely. I think there was one bit where I just knew it, But yeah, it's a brilliant film. It wears its influences on its sleeve, unabashedly, unashamedly, and yeah, the story. So basically, Theo James works for a corporation that's working on building artificially intelligent cyborgs, AI created androids. I guess they're androids. And it reminds me of that great Swedish show, Only Humans, was it? I can't think what the Swedish name for it is. Manishwa. But that was made again by British Humans, which was a pretty great science fiction series about androids. But basically, he's working to create the first, working on realistic AI androids. And in this, and Stacey Martin plays his wife. And can I say, it's probably the most endearing, beautiful, well-crafted, romantic relationship I've seen in cinema in a long time. Um, but basically, he's working on this AI cyborg project, and gets sent to uh, Japan to work on it, and he's telling his wife about what's happening. And in the title of this film comes from the archive, which is basically this analog, not digital, almost like Laserdisc versus CD, but it's an analog technology that allows the essence of um, a deceased person to live on through this archive machine, like with holograms and telephone conversation. But because it's analog, it only has a certain amount of time to run, and that's it's like that's the arc of the film. Part of the arc is um, time's running out on him having his wife there because, spoiler alert, his wife dies and his life's work has become to recreate her in artificial intelligence. Um, and yeah, it's kind of cute, but like basically, he hadn't planned to do that. I don't know what he planned to do, but basically this thing costs a bunch of money, but when his the love of his life passes, his his secret work becomes to create her in AI form, so he can be with her again, And this is where it gets really interesting, because if anyone knows, like with AI, like you don't get to your final product in one seamless loop. Like if anyone who's used AI integrated personality language models knows that generation one is doesn't seamlessly. It jumps from model to model. Like once you've got the model, that's basically a closed system to a certain extent. And in this world where it's created with bodies or whatever, basically from every generation, like the technology is building, but so is the personality. And the way he gets, it's like, this is so ingenious. It's like he works out that like there is a binary in the brain or something, but it's like it's different to digital technology, and he has to create this whole machine to get the essence into it. Then it doesn't work, and then he he bottles some of it. I don't know how it works, and he puts it into these quantum processors or whatever it is, and basically waits to see if anything will happen, and it finally happens. Um, but then basically, so he starts off with Gen 1, which is kind of like R2D2. And it's so cute. And it's like a child, right? Like that's the personality, but also the tech. Then Generation 2 is like a needy, bratty teenager. And the tech is almost C3PO-esque. Um, and then the third generation is basically his wife. And I was thinking about this as I was watching it. It's almost like the couple had children in reverse, like the children came before her. And that brings into this storyline about the jealousy of this teenage Gen 2 and teenage and the fully grown Gen 3. And it's probably it makes robot suicide heartbreaking. I won't go into it, but they're through this all, like, Archive, the story goes that Archive basically have patented their technology, and they find out through this jealousy behavior that he has basically spiked his AI with his dead wife through the Archive essence. Um, and then it's all this, and that's where this um, Hans Hans Peterson comes in. Great, and there's amazing cyborg characters in this. Pretty much all the set, pretty much all but 3 of the secondary characters are cyborg characters, and they are magnificent. But so basically, through this, it starts out at the beginning of Gen 3 and teething and growing pains and making her whole and stuff. And then at the end, you find out that, basically this fully formed person that he has created is going to be replaced with the true essence of his wife, even though these people are still his wife. That's why it's kind of shattering, and that's why it's like the generation 2 and 1 are kind of like, they are like his children, but they're like her daughters. But then you find out that he's got the essence of his wife finally. The body's ready. He's racing against time, against these people who want to take away the tech. And she has to basically sacrifice herself for his wife. And the ending is just shattering. And then comes the Shyamalan twist, and it will destroy you if you're anything like me. Which you're probably not, but just one of the greatest sci-fi twist endings that I've seen in a long time. As all of these amazing films, these 5 amazing dramatic films, will attest. They will live with me, They'll haunt me. Archive, brilliant British sci-fi, a la Blade Runner, Alien, Red Dwarf, Moon, Doctor Who, all, a great lineage of British sci-fi, this one. So again, all of these films I can't highly recommend anymore. So that's Reality from 2023, with Sydney Sweeney and Josh Hamilton. Luckiest Girl Alive, Netflix 2022. Mila Kunis and Connie Britton, Scoot McNairy, Jennifer Beals. Roadside Attractions, Emily the Criminal from 2022. A career-defining performance from Aubrey Plaza. Then the A24 con man, grifter, banger, Sharper from 2023. Just cannot recommend it. As I said, Julianne Moore, Sebastian Stan, Justice Smith, Brianna Middleton, and John Lithgow, just bam. And then finally, as I said, Archive, man, from 2020, way ahead of its time, way before the AI curve. Archive, Vertical Entertainment. Theo James giving another absolute banger performance, and just found out he's going to be in the new S. Craig Zahler film. Yes! with Vince Vaughn in his third S. Craig Zala film, coming out later this year, fingers crossed, and hopefully not just on effing Netflix, but it probably will. Yeah. And as I said, Stacey Martin, Rona Mitra, and Hans Peterson, and the inimitable Toby Jones. Now, enough of that. Enough of the main course mukbang. I'm keep this for the after party. But I'm gonna just get my not soy milk. Sadly, I've run out of wood milk. Aubrey, you didn't bring my fucking DoorDash wood milk. Lazy. But I've got vanilla almond. Just because, I won't. I've gotten too political already, but not going to go into fat positivity space, even though I was a fat bastard. I was Mike Myers in a fat suit previously. But on to the dessert and Snake Eyes. She might be able to make it in at 2 hours, which will be great. But basically ending up this list with an absolute hidden gem. I have to say this is a hidden gem because it's a Tony Hale from Arrested Development and everything else. American. Oh God! Again, Connie Britton. Why can't I think of that film? Oh God. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh God. With a very underrated, I think Iranian directed. Oh God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Jesse Eisenberg, Twilight Girl, Connie Britton, Walton Goggins. No. And Topher Grace, Bill Pullman, Billy P. But Tony Hale, Elisha Cuthbert from Girl Next Door, and semi-pro, not semi-pro. Fuck. Frat Pack film. Oh God, come on, old school. Danielle Brooks from Minecraft and Orange is the New Black. David Walton, up and comer. He was in something I can't remember now. Sarah Burns, who was in Barry, the Henry Winkler, fucking what's his name? Skeleton Twins. Oh God. HBO, another great HBO series. You know the great. Oh goodness sake. Not Sandberg. The other one, the one who does the Schwarzenegger. It might come to me. And then the legend Alan Tudyk, from Knocked Up, not Dragonfly, Firefly, and everything else. I'll have to get in. I haven't gotten into Resident Alien yet, but it's getting good reviews, so I'll have to jump on that one. And then Sarah Chalk from Scrubs and Ricky and Morty, Robbie ML from Upload, and I had Sarah Goldberg. Or maybe I've mixed it up, but one of the Sarahs was from that, Barry. And finally, the cherry on top. And when he turned up on screen, I'm pretty sure I actually did cheer, because one of the best to ever done it in the last 15 years. Straight out of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. In one of the last black faces they ever got to, well, maybe one of the first black faces they ever did. Can't see it on Disney Plus anymore. His character gets completely scrubbed from Disney Plus. That's why you should use my streaming service. But the Paul Walter Hauser, the absolutely steamrolling machine of acting, Paul Walter Hauser, from Richard Jewell, from I, Tonya, from Cobra Kai, of course. Just, the comedy. The comedy chops on this one are just on point. So it's called Eat Wheaties. I watched it on YouTube as Dear Elizabeth, which will become apparent when I go into the story. But interestingly enough, when it came up, the production house on it was Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I think I might have said earlier, anyone from the 90s might remember there was a whole series of help books, self-help books called Chicken Soup for the Soul, Chicken Soup for the this, that, the other. And because I never read them, I didn't know what it was all about. I was like, this might be a dud. But honestly, it is so good. It's so good. It takes you to the feels. The laughs are big. The jokes are amazing. The characters are just so whimsical and lovely. And so writ large, So basically, Tony Hale plays this kind of feckless, late 30s, early 40s, middle management guy who just tries too hard. His brother keeps on telling him, you try too hard, and that's why people don't like you and things. Oh yeah, that's right. Sarah Burns she's the redhead from Stuff. Definitely been in It's Always Sunny. Bless you, son. Clarence. You got the sniffles. You got the schneebles. And then, of course, Danielle Brooks plays plays your sort of the kind of some kind of wonderful romantic lead in the end, if you know what I'm talking about. If you know your John Hughes, Howard Deutsch 80s teen films, you'll know what I'm talking about. Some kind of wonderful. But basically, unlucky in love. Nobody respects him. People openly mock him. His brother, his dear brother's wife doesn't respect him. People think he's a joke. But he's just so happy-go-lucky that nothing can stop him. Like, even when basically he's part of his alumni reunion for what is it, Penn State, I think, or whatever it is. But he's basically he's on the organizing committee for that. And it turns out he went to school, he went to college with the actress Elizabeth Banks, and he's trying to get in touch with her to rekindle their friendship because they're going to be catching up at the reunion and stuff. And he's never used Facebook before, and he starts writing these rambling messages to her on her For You page, not how you say DMs or whatever. He just writes all this stuff to her, and it goes viral. He asks her talent agency for a photo for his brother for his birthday, and then comes back and says the photo's smudged, and they put out a restraining order because Sarah Chalke's character is just like a horrible person, kind of doesn't believe someone of his caliber could know Elizabeth Banks. Great side character by an Asian actor. I don't know his name, is her assistant. I'll just quickly change over. No. Okay. Oh yeah. Oh. 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 Suits you, darling. Suits you, sir. Extra points if you get that reference. To all my Johnny Depp comedy heads. So basically, things fall apart. He loses his job. Can't get another job. Can't cash his social security. Has to move back home with his parents, who are absolutely delightful. And Elisha Cuthbert is just perfect as his snippy, snarky, pregnant sister-in-law with a heart of gold, of course. She's wonderful, so good. And Alan Tudyk basically plays his sort of like his best frenemy type of character, and it's like in the end they fall out because his son Alan Tudyk's son's name is Fred, and with this new muse of his Elizabeth Banks in his life, he thinks of the idea to write a children's book called Fred Smells. And because Alan Tudyk is kind of sneaky but also not very intelligent, probably doesn't read, when he gets the book he thinks he's insulting his son. Again, great. But basically, it all seems to be going great for him. Then he basically loses it all. But his last hope is to have the restraining order taken off him so he can still go to the reunion and see Elizabeth, hopefully. And so basically, Robbie Amell, I think he's his brother's friend who's a lawyer, $850 an hour. His wife, who's a partner, she's $700. Then he goes somewhere else. It's like $400. Then he goes to Paul Walter Hauser's office, which is also his apartment, with the demarcation for like his wife and their their toddler twins. And the way Paul Walter Hauser delivers lines like when he's asked how much, he's like, looks at his wife and goes, 85 an hour? And Tony Howard's like, there we go, partner. And he's shocked, and then it turns out he doesn't have his bar, and he got his degree from University of Arizona.com type of online, and but then it's like that redemption arc when they're at the, and we're back. The Bong Kim Park MUKBANG movie show, episode 1. And it's that redemption arc when they've lost it all and they finally come back and they win the he wins the case. He rues the day at the reunion. He wins the girl over, who's again the beautiful, lovely Danielle Brooks, and just it worked for me that those two together just so perfectly. Just the funniest two characters pretty much from the two funniest golden age comedies of television of the 21st century, And then he wins the respect of his family and his sister-in-law who has her baby, and it all comes together. And then finally, over the credits, you've got Elizabeth Banks finally coming through and saying, "Of course, I'd never forget you." Blah 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 blah. Blah. Eat Wheaties. And that's a lovely throwback through the film, that Eat Your Wheaties, and that becomes pivotal in the court case and all these things. It's just a really well-made comedy pedigree, people who understand how to make you feel, because if it's just jokes and you don't feel anything, it doesn't mean anything. It's just like, that's why I don't like fucking dudes like fucking Coco Diaz and, Maniscalco and stuff, because they don't bring any heart to the show as far as I'm concerned. Not to mention that fucking little fucking turd goblin. Again, Aubrey's Abuelita. But yeah, look. Eat Wheaties from 2020. Chicken Soup for the Soul Pictures. Scott Abramovich, again, television director, but Tony Hale, Elisha Cuthbert, Danielle Brooks, David Walden, Sarah Burns, Alan Tudyk, Sarah Chalk, Robbie Amell, and Sarah Goldberg, and the ever unstoppable Paul Walter Hauser. Kaya! What's his name? Is it like... I can't think of his character's name in Cobra Kai. I can't think of it. New Karate Kid. Not too bad. Not too bad. Fun. Lovely. Kind of, Anyway. Now, finally, I just wanted to talk quickly. We're over 2 hours. Oh, we've gone over. Damn, we've clocked it in. I just want to talk about a couple of really, really, really good series, streaming series, television series that kind of went under the radar for me from a couple of years ago that I caught up with this year. And again, I cannot recommend them highly enough. And I'll just go through them quickly. The first one, Beef. And again with the Korean, this was created by a Korean auteur called Lee Sung-jin. Beef on Netflix from 2023. I think it's 6 episodes. Stephen Yeun, Ali Wong, Joseph Lee, um, Andrew Santino. He's just got a thing. He's got a thing for hanging out with Koreans. Is he an honorary Korean after doing like has the stench of Bobby Lee seeped into him by osmosis, and now he's a honorary Korean American? He's just as racist as Koreans. And for me, the standout performance of this show was from the artist, the Facebook grifter, David Cho, the Cho Meister. What a fucking giant performance in this one, you know. And not to mention all the Filipino gangsters that are heard of but never seen. And basically, this is like the classic road rage kind of, how you say, what do you call that? Not opposites attract, but it's like collide, you know, like that Changing Lanes film with Ben Affleck and Samuel L. Jackson, except writ large, and with two Asian people who come from different Asian cultures, which for me, having Asian blood and understanding these things, probably wouldn't resonate as much with people who don't understand these things. But if you have any nuance about understanding nationalities and just not being like, well, they're all just ching chong, bing bong, ping pong men, aren't they? Whatever. You understand the nuance in this. And it just escalates and escalates and escalates. Like, because Stephen Yeun and his brother are kind of down on their luck, you know, trying to impress their Korean parents. Their business is going down the shitter. David Cho is their best friend, but dodgy as hell. And then you've got Ali Wong, who's like married to a Japanese. Again, so it's the Koreans and Santino. And then Ali Wong, maybe Hong Kong, Malaysian, Chinese, married to a Japanese man and his overbearing mother. And, you know, if you marry a Japanese man, you basically marry their mother in a way. And she's trying to get her business off the ground. And then they have a road rage incident. And neither of them will back down. It's like different cultures, but not enough time to get into the nuance of different Asian cultures, but yeah, like that. Anyway, it goes off. I won't spoil it, but it's a great show. Auteur directed the whole way through by the showrunner, I believe. Beef on Netflix from 2023. Lee Jun-sing, 안녕하세요, Stephen Yeun, Ali Wong, Joseph Lee, Andrew Santino, Dave Cho. Fuck yeah. Oh, Ali Wong. Reminds me, back in the day of casual racism, there was this guy in orchestra at school called, I think his name was Simon Wong, and my mate Sava, who was Serbian, him and fucking, what's his face, dated Roger Donaldson's daughter when they were living in Hollywood. They'd go, hey Simon, what's Wong? What's Wong, mate? Hey Simon, what's Wong? And he just took it with good humour, as we always did. There was no bad blood in these things. You probably couldn't get away with doing that joke these days, right? Just like you can't say things like, hey, why did the Maoris, why did the Islanders buy a sports car? so they could beat the seagulls to the tip. You can't get away with jokes like that anymore, can you? But anyway, great show. Beef, another classic Korean auteur product like Squid Game for Netflix. I would say as good as Netflix in terms of quality, but in a different way. On to Apple, a great Idris Elba series project called Hijack. Run by Jim Field and Smith. Jim Field Smith and George K, I think. Basically goes on the classic hijack aeroplane trope, but then absolutely smashes it on its head in every single episode. I can't go into any of it. It just, you think it's going one way, and then it just fucking, every episode, it totally turkey slaps you and just goes, nah, we're taking it somewhere where you couldn't even imagine. So great show from Apple. And I honestly think Apple are the little streaming service that could. Back in the day they were talking about how they weren't pumping out much. But these days, a lot of the content like Stick, which is amazing with Owen Wilson, and also I believe Bad Monkey with Vince Vaughn. I'm pretty sure it's one of the first or second. There was a kids film based on a Carl Hiaasen novel, but I think this is the first Carl Hiaasen content that's come out since Striptease all the way back in the day. So yeah, Apple keep on pumping it out, and that Godzilla show with Wyatt and Kurt Russell was great. And finally, on to the very last before my $1 million life hack. It is the new Greg My name is Earl. Greg, my name is Earl Garcia. His new season, his new show from 2022 about the pandemic. Absolutely just as magical and wondrous and beautiful as Earl and Hope Rises, was it? That one about Jimmy. Jimmy! With the parents from Raising Hope, Garrett Dillahunt, and the inimitable Martha Plimpton, this time playing completely different characters. Again, look, I won't even spoil it for you, but basically, at the beginning of the pandemic, these low-life criminals get let out of jail because they can't hold them anymore, and it's a total culture shock story, but also in Greg Garcia world. And if you know it's My Name is Earl or Raising Hope, you know what I mean. You'll know what to expect. You won't be disappointed. More of that. Better than Where the Millers, probably. Sprung out on Freevee. And as I was going to say, can I do it on this? Oh, it'll be the wrong way round. And you probably won't see it, but, no. On flickstore.li, you will be able to find all of these films at a nominal rate for VIP. I think it's about $30 a month for VIP, maybe less, or 2 months, and then it's like, it cost me like $90 for 2 years of VIP, which basically means pretty much every American film ever made, plus a lot of B stuff, a lot of content mill stuff. Every single bad Hallmark Christmas film ever, plus all the ones in every other universe, basically. Flickstore.li, they seem to have socials, so I don't know the murkiness of where it stands, but I personally think I'm paying. I guess they're not paying royalties on this content, but you know, it's the Wild West. It's a streaming service. There doesn't seem to be anything stopping you from using it. It doesn't feel like those dodgy Russian ones. It's a great platform. You pay for what you get, and if you don't pay, you get 6 months of movies and three months of television and a lockout policy if you can't get in on the server. But as I say, if you wanted to watch this stuff, you definitely need VIP. Not a subscription, just the VIP. So there you have it. And before I get to my final thing, the million dollar hack, back on the list. So the 5 dramatic thrillers of the last 5 years that are criminally underrated, criminally unspoken about, is Reality, starring Sydney Sweeney, Luckiest Girl Alive with Mila Kunis, Emily the Criminal with Aubrey Plaza. Golf clap. Bless you, Ms. Then Sharper from A24. One of the best ensemble casts I've seen in a long time. Julianne Moore, Sebastian Stan, Justice Smith, Brianna Middleton, and Mid-Atlantic man himself, Mr. John Lithgow. And finally, the amazing British throwback sci-fi archive, way ahead of its time from 2020, starring the unstoppable Theo James, as I said to begin with, to star in the new S. Craig Zala film coming out this year with Vince Vaughn. Stacey Martin, a name to keep an eye out for, Rona Mitra, and Toby Jones. The Toby Jones of Berberian sound system infamy. And then finally, not finally quite, my black comedy, which was Eat Wheaties, directed by Scott Abramovich, Tony Hale, Alicia Cuthbert, Daniel Brooks, David Walton, Sarah, basically the funniest human beings, the actual funniest ones, basically you take the best comedy shows from the last 20 years and you pick the best actor from each of them and you pop them in one film and you get Eat Wheaties. Plus Elizabeth Banks, the cocaine queen herself. Yeah. And then finally, capping it off with 3 great streaming series. Beef from Netflix with Stephen Yuen, Ali Wong, Joseph Lee, David Cho, and Andrew Santino. And then Never Stopping Idris Elba. Never stopping him. And with a great performance as one of the super villains, the great British actor Neil Maskell, from, talking about Ben Wheatley earlier, the throwback callback from Ben Wheatley's great film Kill List from 2011. A very, very underrated indie horror from the UK. And finally, capping it off with the goofiest comedy of the 2020s, that would be sprung from the legendary showrunner of comedy, Greg Garcia. My Name is Earl, Raising Hope, etc., etc. Garrett Dillahunt, Shakira Barrera, Philip Garcia, and Martha Plimpton. Boom. That is the Bong Kim Park mukbang movie show. Boom. He come back. Did he come back with a full-length thing? After all damn special, all damn 3 minutes. He come back. Is anybody watching? Nobody's awake. I've dropped this way before your early times. Don't know what the time is in Wisconsin, but hello to all my little media guys. Yep. Shoe on head. Click to my shoe monster on the head. To my sweet Misha P, Bradley P, Amala EP, Mark Dice, my boy Marky Mark, and hey, massive respect to Blair White for having that Epstein survivor on a show. Massive respect. Oh, and talking about Blair White, in reality winner, the main character, she's got she's got a pink AR-15. So, boom shakala. So finally, let's finish this off with my $1 million life hack, and I'm sure what you think. So basically, people think you got to get high fidelity hi-fi works to get good sound on something like this versus something like this. You wouldn't expect much, would ya? Would ya? Like, basically, you'd think something like this, you'd only be getting something tinny, but especially with some acoustics, that sounds pretty damn good for a record player less than $100. And here's the kicker. Here's how you get some great fidelity. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this wasn't $1 million. I only assumed it worked, and we'll see if this works. But basically, you see, I've got a bunch of records on there to bring up the fidelity of the sound. As I say, I haven't tested this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the fidelity is a lot better with extra weight on the recording than it would be otherwise. So let's just test it out, and maybe I'm blagging like I always do, like that time when I saw the moon in the sky and thought it was a solar eclipse or something, but maybe not. It sounded a little bit tinnier there, but who's to say? This has been the interestingly enough, this has been the Taylor Hackford Imperative channel. Cinema Uberales, coming up strong. THI, straight out of Cressy, Australia, formerly known as Australia. And yeah, thanks for watching. This has been a mukbang movie show crossover. I hope you enjoyed. Maybe you didn't. Whenever you get to see this, hopefully the rotation isn't like that. But as I say, I was kind of laying on so it won't look too bad either way, either way, either way, either way. And hey, I'm about to run out of internet for a while. I'm going to take it easy, download some YouTube movies and save my data. And I'll be back, you know, once I find out if anyone actually watched this motherfucker. Peace out, y'all. Cinema never dies, 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 dies. And remember, even when cinema dies, it's still living. Just like y'all. Beep.